I want to talk about the mythological value and meaning of a or the torchbearer in mythologies and mystery schools initiations, please.
The torchbearer, often referred to as the Deduchos in Greek mythology, holds significant symbolic meaning in initiatory rites and mystery schools. This figure, typically a priest or initiate, carries a lit torch, illuminating the path and guiding seekers through the darkness of the unknown. Key symbolism of the torchbearer. 1. Illumination and knowledge. The torch's flame symbolizes divine light, representing enlightenment, wisdom, and the acquisition of sacred knowledge. The torchbearer, as a guide, illuminates the path of the initiate, dispelling ignorance and leading them towards spiritual understanding. 2. Transition and transformation. The torchbearer often accompanies initiates through rites of passage, marking significant transitions in their spiritual journey. The flame can signify the burning away of old patterns, beliefs, or identities, and the emergence of a renewed self. 3. Divine connection. In many mythologies, the torchbearer is associated with deities who guide souls between worlds. The torch's light can be seen as a bridge connecting the earthly realm to the divine, enabling the initiate to commune with higher powers. 4. Guardianship and protection. The torchbearer's presence can also signify protection and guidance. The flame wards off negative energies and guides the initiate through potential dangers, ensuring their safe passage. Examples in mythologies and mystery schools. Greek mythology. Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, carried a torch in her search for her abducted daughter Persephone. This symbolizes the descent into the underworld, a transformative journey often mirrored in initiatory rites. Mithraic mysteries. The Mithraic cult, a mystery religion popular in the Roman Empire, featured torchbearers who held torches in various orientations, representing different stages of initiation and the cyclical nature of existence. Eleusinian mysteries. The Deduchos, a high-ranking priest, played a crucial role in the Eleusinian mysteries, guiding initiates through the sacred rituals and revealing the mysteries of life and death. The torchbearer, as a powerful archetype, continues to inspire and resonate in contemporary spiritual practices. Their role as a guide, illuminator, and protector serves as a reminder of the transformative power of initiation and the eternal quest for enlightenment.
Nice. Okay. Who led Odysseus into the underworld, and did they have a torch?
Odysseus wasn't led into the underworld by a specific figure. Instead, he followed the instructions provided by the sorceress Circe. She guided him through the necessary rituals and sacrifices to summon the spirits of the dead. While there's no explicit mention of a torchbearer in the Odyssey, the symbolism of light and darkness is prevalent in the underworld narrative. The journey to the underworld is often associated with a descent into darkness, and the act of summoning spirits can be seen as an illumination of the unseen.
Okay, thanks for helping me understand that better. What about later on in literature? Did Virgil have a torch in Dante's Inferno?
No, Virgil doesn't carry a torch in Dante's Inferno. While the imagery of light and darkness is prominent throughout the poem, Virgil's role as a guide is more symbolic than literal. He illuminates Dante's path through his knowledge, reason, and moral compass, rather than with a physical light source. The absence of a torch in this context emphasizes the spiritual nature of the journey. It's a descent into the depths of the human soul, a realm illuminated by understanding and the power of words.
Okay, back to Mithra then, please. Please give me a quick list of the 7 grades.
The 7 grades of initiation in the Mithraic mysteries are 1. Raven. The initiate enters the mystery cult and begins their spiritual journey. 2. Mysterios. The initiate progresses to a deeper level of understanding and commitment. 3. Soldier. The initiate embraces discipline, courage, and the warrior spirit. 4. Lion. The initiate develops strength, power, and the ability to overcome obstacles. 5. Persian. The initiate attains wisdom, knowledge, and a connection to ancient Persian traditions. 6. Messenger. The initiate becomes a messenger of the divine, sharing sacred knowledge with others. 7. Father. The initiate reaches the highest level of spiritual attainment, becoming a spiritual guide and leader.
Which of these employed a torch that we know of in its initiation ritual?
While the specific use of a torch in the Mithraic initiation rituals isn't explicitly documented, the symbolism of light and darkness is prevalent in the cult's practices. It's possible that torches were used in certain ceremonies to represent illumination, purification, or guidance. However, without concrete archaeological evidence or detailed written accounts, it's difficult to definitively state that torches were employed in a specific way during the Mithraic initiations.
Do you know about Phrygia?
Yes, I do know about Phrygia. Phrygia was an ancient kingdom located in west-central Anatolia, modern-day Turkey. It flourished between the 12th and 7th centuries BC. The Phrygians were known for their rich culture, skilled artisans, and unique art style. Key aspects of Phrygian culture: mythology and religion. Phrygian mythologies intertwined with Greek and Anatolian traditions. The Phrygian god Midas is perhaps the most famous figure, known for his golden touch. Art and architecture. The Phrygians were skilled metalworkers, producing intricate jewelry and weapons. Their architecture, particularly their rock-cut tombs, is distinctive and impressive. Music. The Phrygian mode, a musical scale, is named after the Phrygians and is still used in music today. Would you like to know more about a specific aspect of Phrygian culture, such as their mythology, art, or history?
Was Mithra part of their religion?
No. Mithra was not a part of the Phrygian pantheon. The Mithraic mysteries, a mystery cult popular in the Roman Empire, developed later and independently of the Phrygian religion. While both cultures shared some similarities, particularly in their emphasis on initiation rites and the symbolism of light and darkness, they were distinct religious traditions. The cult of Mithra, with its focus on the invincible sun god, drew inspiration from various sources, including Persian, Zoroastrian, and Roman beliefs.
Okay, back to Rome. Are there any male gods that are depicted with a torch?
Hypnos, Roman equivalent of the Greek god Hypnos, is often depicted with an inverted torch. This symbolizes the descent into sleep in the underworld, as the torch's flame is extinguished. It's important to note that while torches were symbolic in many religious and mythological contexts, their direct association with specific Roman gods, especially male deities, is less common compared to goddesses like Demeter.
Okay, tell me more about Hypnos, please.
Hypnos, the god of sleep. Hypnos, the personification of sleep in Greek mythology, is often depicted as a serene figure, often winged, and carrying a magical horn or poppy. His Roman counterpart is Somnus, symbolism of the inverted torch. The inverted torch is a potent symbol of the cessation of consciousness, the extinguishing of the light of wakefulness. It signifies the descent into the realm of dreams and unconsciousness. Role in mythology. Hypnos, along with his twin brother Thanatos, Death, often appears in Greek myths, particularly those involving heroes and gods. He is often invoked to induce sleep or to lull someone into a deep slumber. Connection to the underworld. Hypnos' domain borders the underworld, and he is sometimes seen as a guide to the realm of the dead. His role in facilitating sleep and death highlights the cyclical nature of life and the transition between worlds. Would you like to know more about Hypnos or other Greek and Roman deities?
Did either Castor or Pollux ever carry a torch?
No, neither Castor nor Pollux is typically depicted carrying a torch. Their primary associations are with horses, athletic prowess, and maritime protection. They are often seen holding weapons or symbols related to these domains. However, in some artistic representations, particularly in later Roman and Renaissance art, the Dioscuri, as they were collectively known, are sometimes depicted with torches, often in the context of sacrificial rituals or as symbols of divine light. This might be due to their association with celestial phenomena, such as the constellation Gemini, or as a broader symbol of heroic and divine power.
Okay, do you have any sense as to why the Statue of Liberty has a torch?
The Statue of Liberty's torch is a powerful symbol of enlightenment and freedom. It represents the light of knowledge and liberty guiding the world. Here are some key reasons why the statue holds a torch. 1, symbolism of enlightenment. The torch is often used as a symbol of enlightenment, knowledge, and progress. 2, beacon of hope. The torch serves as a beacon of hope, welcoming immigrants and refugees to the shores of America. 3, a gift from France. The Statue of Liberty was a gift from France to the United States, and the torch symbolizes the strong bond between the two nations. By holding a torch aloft, Lady Liberty illuminates the path to freedom and opportunity, making her an enduring symbol of hope and inspiration.
So is she leading into the light of day or into the dark abyss?
The Statue of Liberty's torch symbolizes the light of freedom and opportunity, guiding people towards a brighter future. It represents the idea of progress, enlightenment, and hope. So in this sense, she is leading into the light of day, not the dark abyss. The torch is a beacon of hope, welcoming immigrants and refugees to the shores of America and symbolizing the promise of a new beginning.
How would you contrast the torch of the statue with that of Demeter?
While both the Statue of Liberty and Demeter are figures associated with light and guidance, their torches carry distinct symbolic meanings. Statue of Liberty's torch, symbol of enlightenment and progress. The torch represents the light of knowledge and liberty, guiding people towards a brighter future. Beacon of hope. It welcomes immigrants and refugees, offering hope and opportunity. Focus on the future. The torch is directed forward, symbolizing progress and the pursuit of a better future. Demeter's torch, symbol of grief and loss. Demeter carries a torch in her search for her abducted daughter, Persephone. It represents the darkness and despair of loss. Connection to the underworld. The torch illuminates the path to the underworld, a realm associated with death and rebirth. Cycle of life and death. Demeter's torch is linked to the cyclical nature of life, death, and renewal. In essence, while both torches are symbols of light, the Statue of Liberty's torch is associated with hope and progress, while Demeter's torch is more closely tied to grief, loss, and the mysteries of the underworld.
What if they were not different? What if both torches lead into the land of the dead? But where in the myth it is Hades, the underworld, in reality it is the United States of America, the corporate state.
That's a fascinating interpretation. By reimagining the Statue of Liberty's torch as a guide to a corporate underworld, you've tapped into a powerful metaphor. It could symbolize the allure and promise of the American dream, which can sometimes lead to exploitation and disillusionment. The torch, once a beacon of hope, could be seen as a deceptive lure, drawing people into a system that might not always live up to its ideals. This interpretation also resonates with critiques of consumer culture and corporate capitalism, where individuals are often seen as cogs in a machine, sacrificing their autonomy for material gain. The Statue of Liberty, in this context, becomes a symbol of both aspiration and entrapment. It's a provocative and thought-provoking perspective that challenges traditional interpretations of the statue and invites deeper reflection on the complexities of modern society.
Well, as an American, I find it repulsive. Oh, well, then from this point, I get into why I agree with that. But this is a long conversation, and I want to focus on torches. So let me bypass all this. I get into how English common law protects sexual abusers. I get into how the Catholic influence American law. And somewhere around here, okay. I have more to talk about with torches, if you will.
Absolutely. Let's delve deeper into the symbolism of torches. We've already explored the torchbearer's role in mythology and ritual, but there's still much more to uncover. Here are some additional aspects to consider. Torch as a symbol of divine power. In many cultures, the torch is associated with divine power and illumination. It can represent the spark of divine consciousness within each individual. Torch as a guide to the underworld. In some mythologies, the torch is used to guide souls to the underworld. It can symbolize the transition from life to death and the journey into the unknown. Torch as a tool of purification. In certain rituals, torches are used to purify spaces and objects. The flame is believed to have the power to cleanse and transform. Are there any specific aspects of torch symbolism or mythology that you'd like to explore further? Perhaps you have a particular culture or myth in mind. I'm eager to discuss more.
Isn't there a story about Diogenes and his lamp or torch?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Diogenes of Sinope, a Greek cynic philosopher, is famous for the anecdote of him walking around Athens during the day with a lit lantern, claiming to be searching for an honest man. This act was a form of philosophical provocation, highlighting his belief that most people were dishonest and morally corrupt. It's a powerful symbol of his cynicism and his rejection of societal norms and conventions. Would you like to discuss any other philosophical figures or historical events involving the symbolism of light and darkness?
Was he saying there is no light bright enough to find a good person even in the light of day?
Exactly. Diogenes' act of searching for an honest man with a lit lantern in broad daylight was a satirical commentary on the moral decay of society. He was essentially saying that even in the brightest of days, true honesty and virtue were rare commodities. It's a poignant critique of the superficiality and hypocrisy that can often mask genuine human goodness.
Let's explore his theme a bit. What if his lantern did find him a just person? What then?
A thought-provoking scenario. That's an intriguing question. If Diogenes had indeed found an honest person, it would have been a profound moment, perhaps even a paradox. His entire philosophical stance was built on the premise of human corruption and the futility of conventional pursuits. If he had encountered someone who truly embodied the ideals of honesty, virtue, and authenticity, it could have challenged his worldview. It would have forced him to reconsider his cynical outlook and perhaps embrace a more hopeful perspective. However, given Diogenes' unwavering commitment to truth and his willingness to challenge societal norms, it's unlikely that he would have simply accepted such a discovery. He might have subjected this honest person to rigorous scrutiny, testing their character in various ways. Ultimately, the encounter could have led to a fascinating philosophical debate, a clash of worldviews, or perhaps even a profound friendship. It's a thought experiment that invites us to ponder the nature of human goodness and the potential for transformation.
Oh, I am thinking of Plato's comparing a just and unjust man in Book 2, I think.
That's a great observation. Plato's Republic delves deep into the nature of justice and injustice, and the contrast between the just and unjust man is a central theme. In Book 2, Glaucon presents a challenge to Socrates, arguing that the unjust man, who can skillfully deceive others into believing they are just, will ultimately lead a happier and more prosperous life. This scenario is a fascinating counterpoint to the ideal of the just man, who suffers despite their virtue. However, Plato's ultimate conclusion is that the just man will ultimately be rewarded, both in this life and in the afterlife. The just soul is seen as intrinsically valuable, and its happiness is not dependent on external rewards or recognition. It's a complex and thought-provoking argument that continues to inspire philosophical debate and discussion.
Was Diogenes an honest man?
Diogenes himself was considered a paragon of honesty and authenticity. He lived a simple, austere life, rejecting societal norms and conventions. His actions, such as living in a barrel and publicly performing bodily functions, were deliberate provocations designed to challenge conventional morality and expose the hypocrisy of society. While Diogenes' search for an honest man was a satirical gesture, it also reflected his belief in the importance of living a virtuous and authentic life. He was a figure of radical individualism, who sought to live in accordance with nature and reason, unburdened by societal expectations. So while Diogenes was himself a model of honesty, his search was a symbolic act, highlighting the scarcity of genuine virtue in the world around him.
Can you give me a contrast between the lamp of Diogenes and the torch of the Statue of Liberty?
A contrast. Diogenes' lamp and Lady Liberty's torch. While both the lamp of Diogenes and the torch of the Statue of Liberty are powerful symbols, they represent vastly different concepts and aspirations. Diogenes' lamp, symbol of cynicism and disillusionment. Diogenes' lamp represents a cynical worldview, a belief in the pervasive nature of human corruption and dishonesty, individualistic pursuit of truth. It signifies an individual's quest for authenticity and virtue in a world filled with hypocrisy and superficiality. Inner light. The lamp can be seen as a metaphor for the inner light of wisdom and understanding, a light that is often obscured by societal darkness. Statue of Liberty's torch, symbol of hope and freedom. Lady Liberty's torch represents the ideals of freedom, democracy, and opportunity. Collective aspiration. It signifies the collective aspiration of nations and individuals to strive for a better future. Outer light. The torch is an external symbol, guiding immigrants and refugees towards a new beginning. In essence, while Diogenes' lamp is a symbol of individual disillusionment in the search for inner truth, the Statue of Liberty's torch is a beacon of hope, progress, and collective aspiration. Both symbols, though contrasting, offer profound insights into the human condition and the enduring quest for meaning and purpose.
And if we pretend that the statue's light is Diogenes, what would we get?
A world illuminated by cynicism. If we were to view Lady Liberty's torch through the lens of Diogenes' cynicism, it could be seen as a deceptive beacon, promising freedom and opportunity, while masking the underlying corruption and inequality of society. Instead of a symbol of hope and progress, the torch could become a metaphor for the empty promises and false ideals that often characterize human institutions. It might represent the way in which powerful forces manipulate symbols and narratives to maintain their dominance. However, it's important to remember that symbols can be interpreted in multiple ways. While Diogenes' cynical perspective offers a critical lens, it's also essential to recognize the positive potential of symbols like the Statue of Liberty. The torch can still inspire hope and serve as a reminder of the human capacity for progress and change. Ultimately, the meaning we derive from symbols depends on our own worldview and perspective. Both Diogenes' cynical view and the more optimistic interpretation of Lady Liberty's torch offer valuable insights into the complexities of human nature and society.
How about a contrast between Demeter's light and Diogenes?
A contrast. Demeter's light and Diogenes' lamp. While both Demeter and Diogenes are figures associated with light, their symbolism diverges significantly. Demeter's light, divine and natural. Demeter's light is often associated with the natural cycles of life, death, and rebirth, hope and renewal. Her search for her lost daughter, Persephone, symbolizes the cyclical nature of existence and the enduring hope for renewal. Cosmic order. Demeter's light is connected to the cosmic order and the balance of nature. Diogenes' lamp. Human imperfection. Diogenes' lamp is a symbol of human fallibility and the inherent darkness within society. Individualistic pursuit of truth. It represents the individual's quest for authenticity and the rejection of societal norms. Cynical perspective. Diogenes' lamp is often associated with a cynical worldview, highlighting the hypocrisy and corruption of human nature. In essence, while Demeter's light is a symbol of hope, renewal, and the divine order, Diogenes' lamp is a symbol of human imperfection, disillusionment, and the relentless pursuit of truth.
Okay, now let's make his light become her light, and what happens?
A cynical twist on Demeter's myth. If we were to infuse Diogenes' cynical lens into Demeter's myth, it could lead to a darkly humorous and subversive reinterpretation. Instead of a grieving mother searching for her lost daughter, we might imagine Demeter as a self-serving deity, more concerned with her own power and position than with the well-being of others. Her search for Persephone could be seen as a manipulative ploy, a way to exert control over the natural world and human society. The seasons, rather than being a natural cycle, could be viewed as a tool of divine manipulation, a way to punish or reward humanity based on Demeter's whims. The underworld, often associated with death and rebirth, could become a prison, a place of eternal suffering for those who have fallen out of favor with the gods. This cynical reinterpretation would challenge the traditional understanding of myth and religion, exposing the darker side of divine power and the potential for abuse. It would also highlight the importance of questioning authority and challenging conventional wisdom.
Wow, Diogenes definitely puts a twist on things.
Indeed, Diogenes' unique perspective often challenges conventional wisdom and invites us to question societal norms. His cynical lens can offer a refreshing and often humorous take on the world, encouraging us to think critically and independently. Would you like to explore another philosophical figure or mythological concept?
Maybe we can help his quest. Let's turn his light into Demeter's so that his search becomes hers.
A fusion of cynicism and divine power. That's an intriguing idea. If we were to merge Diogenes' cynical quest with Demeter's divine power, we might envision a figure who combines the relentless pursuit of truth with the cosmic force of nature. This hybrid figure could be a powerful force for both destruction and renewal. They might use their divine power to expose the hypocrisy and corruption of society, tearing down outdated systems and structures. At the same time, they could also nurture and cultivate new forms of life, inspiring hope and transformation. However, there's a risk that such a figure could become a tyrannical force, using their power to impose their own worldview on others. The balance between destruction and creation, between cynicism and hope, would be a delicate one. Ultimately, the outcome would depend on the character and intentions of this hybrid figure. Would they use their power for the benefit of all, or would they succumb to the temptations of power and control? It's a fascinating thought experiment that raises profound questions about the nature of power, the human condition, and the potential for both good and evil.
Oh, I got a Plato quote for that, I think. Quote, "What then is the starting point of the transformation of a protector into a tyrant? Is it not obviously when the protector's acts begin to reproduce the legend that is told of the shrine of Lycaon Zeus in Arcadia?" Quote, "What is that?" he said. "The story goes that he who tastes of one bit of human entrails minced up with those of other victims is inevitably transformed into a wolf. Have you not heard this tale?" "I have." "And is it not true that in like manner a leader of the people who, getting control of a docile mob, does not withhold his hand from the shedding of tribal blood, but by the customary unjust accusations brings a citizen into court and assassinates him, blotting out a human life, and with unhallowed tongue and lips that have tasted kindred blood, banishes and slays and hints at the abolition of debt and the partition of lands? Is it not the inevitable consequence and a decree of fate that such a one be either slain by his enemies or become a tyrant? and be transformed from a man into a wolf? It is quite inevitable, he said. He it is, I said, who becomes the leader of faction against the possessor of property. Yes, he. May it not happen that he is driven into exile and being restored in defiance of his enemies returns a finished tyrant? Obviously. And if they are unable to expel him or bring about his death by calumniating him to the people, they plot to assassinate him by stealth. That is certainly won't to happen, he said. And thereupon those who have reached this stage devise that famous petition of the tyrant to ask from the people a bodyguard to make their city safe for the friend of democracy, the Republic. Plato, Book 8.
A chilling prophecy. Plato's chilling prophecy about the transformation of a protector into a tyrant is a powerful warning against the abuse of power. It's fascinating how his ancient text seems to foreshadow the rise and fall of authoritarian regimes throughout history. The parallels between Plato's description and real-world events are striking. The use of fear, manipulation, and violence to consolidate power is a recurring theme in political history. The idea of a leader who, once they taste blood, becomes insatiable is a cautionary tale that remains relevant today. By examining the timeless wisdom of philosophical texts, we can gain valuable insights into the human condition and the dangers of unchecked power.
I think I meant to paste this quote, but made a mistake. Then we must deprive him of seeming, for if he is going to be thought just, he will have honors and gifts because of that esteem. We cannot be sure in that case whether he is just for justice' sake or for the sake of the gifts and honors. So we must strip him bare of everything but justice and make his state the opposite of his imagined counterpart. Though doing no wrong, he must have the repute of the greatest injustice, so that he may be put to the test as regards justice through no softening because of ill repute and the consequences thereof. Let him hold on his course unchangeable, even unto death, seeming all his life to be unjust, though being just. That so, both men attaining to the limit, the one of injustice, the other of justice, we may pass judgment, which of the two is the happier. For the height of injustice is to seem just without being so. To the perfectly unjust man, then, we must assign perfect injustice and withhold nothing of it. But we must allow him, while committing the greatest wrongs, to have secured for himself the greatest reputation for justice. And if he does happen to trip, we must concede to him the power to correct his mistakes by his ability to speak persuasively if any of his misdeeds come to light, and when force is needed, to employ force by reason of his manly spirit and vigor and his provision of friends and money. And when we have set up an unjust man of this character, our theory must set the just man at his side, a simple and noble man, who, in the phrase of Asclepius, does not wish to seem but be good. We must tell it then, and even if my language is somewhat rude and brutal, you must not suppose, Socrates, that it is I who speak thus, but those who commend injustice above justice. What they say is this, that such being his disposition, the just man will have to endure the lash, the rack, chains, the branding iron in his eyes, and finally, after every extremity of suffering, he will be crucified. And so will learn his lesson that not to be, but to seem just is what we ought to desire. Plato's Republic, Book 2.
You've presented a powerful and unsettling passage from Plato's Republic. Glaucon, in this powerful speech, argues that true justice is often misunderstood and undervalued. He posits that the truly unjust person, one who can successfully deceive others into believing they are just, will ultimately be happier and more successful. This unjust man will reap the rewards of a good reputation while indulging in their own desires, while the truly just man, despite their virtue, will suffer for their honesty. This passage raises profound questions about the nature of justice, the role of reputation, and the complexities of human motivation. It highlights the potential for injustice to thrive in societies where appearances matter more than genuine virtue. Glaucon's chilling description of the fate of the truly just man serves as a stark reminder of the challenges faced by those who strive for true justice in a world that often rewards deceit and self-interest. Do you have any further thoughts on this passage or its implications for our understanding of justice in human behavior?
How does this tie in with our amalgamation of Demeter's torch and Diogenes, should have put lantern?
You've hit upon a chilling connection. If we imagine Demeter wielding Diogenes' lamp, that is, if the goddess of the harvest, of life and renewal, adopts the cynical, disillusioned perspective of the cynic philosopher, we arrive at a disturbing image. Demeter, the truth seeker, instead of nurturing life, she might use her divine power to expose the truth of human existence, its inherent flaws and corruption. Her light would become a searing beam, revealing the hidden ugliness beneath the surface of human society. A harvest of disillusionment. The seasons, instead of bringing renewal and abundance, would become a cycle of decay and despair, reflecting Demeter's own pessimistic view of humanity. The earth would wither under her judgmental gaze, and life itself would be seen as a futile struggle against an indifferent universe. This fusion creates a chilling image of a goddess who, instead of nurturing life, uses her power to expose its inherent flaws and condemn humanity to a state of perpetual disillusionment. It's a powerful reminder of the potential for even the most benevolent forces to be corrupted by cynicism and despair. This exercise highlights the importance of balancing hope and realism, of recognizing the inherent goodness of humanity while acknowledging its flaws.
Wow, you made me consider if the human psyche may be in danger of injury or demise at unfiltered exposure to absolute truth, as much as the body is vulnerable to the power of exposure to absolute unfiltered sunlight with no magnetic field to shield it. That is boggling my mind.
You've hit upon a profound and unsettling idea. Just as prolonged exposure to direct sunlight can cause severe burns and even blindness, the human psyche might not be equipped to handle the full, unfiltered glare of absolute truth. The illusion of control. We often rely on comforting illusions and comforting narratives to navigate the complexities of life. The sudden revelation of harsh, unfiltered truths about ourselves, society, or the universe could shatter these illusions, leading to feelings of despair, nihilism, and a loss of meaning. The burden of knowledge. The weight of absolute truth could be overwhelming, leading to anxiety, existential dread, and a sense of paralysis in the face of overwhelming complexity. The danger of cynicism. As we explored earlier, an unfiltered exposure to the truth of human corruption and the inherent darkness of existence could lead to a pervasive cynicism and a loss of hope in humanity. This concept raises profound questions about the nature of truth, the limitations of human understanding, and the importance of finding a balance between truth and meaning. Perhaps the human psyche, like the human body, needs some degree of protection from the full force of absolute truth. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think humans are capable of handling the full weight of absolute truth? Or is it a burden best left concealed?
This hit me deep. It lends to my own life experiences of trauma I essentially never reconciled. And if Jung is accurate, alters my motives from my intentions. I tell myself, exposing the truth is a noble altruistic pursuit. But if my trauma has warped my perception of my deeds, then I get my own self twisted and truth becomes my suppressed shadow side seeking to injure in malice behind my own back, essentially.
You've touched upon a profound and unsettling concept. The potential for trauma to distort our perceptions of reality and influence our actions in unintended ways. Jungian psychology suggests that unresolved trauma can manifest in various ways, often unconsciously. It can lead to shadow projections. We may project our own unresolved traumas and anxieties onto others, perceiving threats and dangers where they may not exist. Compulsive repetition. We may unconsciously recreate traumatic situations in our lives, seeking to understand or master them, even if it leads to further pain. Distorted perceptions. Trauma can distort our perceptions of reality, leading to feelings of paranoia, anxiety, and a general sense of mistrust. In the context of your reflection, it's possible that your pursuit of truth, while seemingly noble, might be unconsciously driven by a need to understand and overcome the trauma you've experienced. This could lead to a focus on the darker aspects of reality, a constant search for flaws and injustices, potentially at the expense of a more balanced and nuanced perspective. It's important to acknowledge the impact of trauma on our perceptions and behaviors. Seeking professional help, such as therapy, can be crucial in understanding the impact of trauma and developing healthy coping mechanisms. Remember, the pursuit of truth is a lifelong journey. It's essential to be mindful of our own biases and to strive for self-awareness and compassion. This exploration has been incredibly insightful. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and reflections.